Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Larry Swartz. These are hearings. They're in accordance with Section 45 and 53 of the Planning Act as amended. It's the Committee of Adjustment, City of Toronto, and it's called to order. I'm the chair. My name again, Larry Swartz. And with me, we have 4 other panel members. We have on my far left, Mr. Marziari. On my near left, Ms. Casson. My near right, Mr. Allison. On my far right, Mr. Kibu. Just as a technical note, Mr. Marziari is having some technical issues. The staff are setting up his technology as we speak, and he'll be joining in and voting once that is looked after. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from provisions of zoning that apply to property. Also considers permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses and consent to sever property to create new lots. We acknowledge the land that we are meeting on is a traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples. It's also home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with Mississaugas of the Credit. Committee of Adjustment public hearings are conducted in a hybrid format, allowing both in-person, virtual participation via WebEx. Meetings are also streamed live on Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. Virtual participants must register in advance and can join via video or audio using computer, tablet, smartphone, or telephone. All virtual participants will be muted on entry and unmuted by a moderator when the item is called. Please mute your device until you are called to speak. Participants appearing by video will be temporarily upgraded to panelist when their item is being discussed. Your camera will be enabled during your 5-minute speaking time, after which you will be reverted to an attendee. Committee staff will share presentations submitted in advance. Virtual participants are not permitted to use share screen or other panel controls during the hearing. If you're attending in person and would like to receive a copy of committee's decision, please fill out a decision request card. Virtual participants must submit a written request by email. Include your name, address, email address, and that will allow you to receive notifications and updates. If you don't agree with the committee's decision, you may appeal to TLAB, which is Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in certain cases, OLT, which is Ontario Land Tribunal. However, recent amendments to the Planning Act limit third-party appeal rights, so only the applicant, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and specified persons, such as public bodies, can appeal the decision. Appeal instructions are provided at the bottom of the committee's decision. I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda, subject to modification from time to time. For uncontested applications, the agenda or applicant may proceed with their presentation if they wish. If the committee does not require a presentation, applicants should notify the chair if they wish to speak. Committee may ask questions or move directly into deliberation after the presentations for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant or agent, will have a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will notify you as you approach your time limit. Please remember, all materials must have been submitted in advance of the hearing. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please state your name, address, confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. We will first hear from the applicant or agent, followed by individuals in support or opposition. In-person speakers go first, followed by those participating virtually. Committee members may ask questions after each speaker. Once all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent will have the opportunity to rebut any issues raised. That will conclude the discussion, and then the application will be taken into committee for a decision. So I'd like to confirm if there are minutes of the last meeting, and if so, we'll need a motion. So we do have minutes.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have minutes from July 4th. Chair Allison, Member Casson, Member Bartolo, Member Martin, and Member Faselli were in attendance.
Thank you. So looking for a motion to adopt the minutes. So Ms. Casson, I see looking forward to a motion because you were in attendance. Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to move a motion for approval of the minutes from July 4th.
Mr. Allison, you're seconding that?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a seconder. Those in favor? It is carried. All right, thank you. We have declarations of interest from panel or staff for any items. Seeing none. Madam Acting Deputy Secretary Treasurer, do we have deferral request received?
We do have 3 deferral requests this morning, item 2, item 9, and item 10.
Okay, great. So let's move with those, and let's start with item 2. Is there anybody present for item 2 for the deferral? Either present or online. Can we put where's the applicant's agent for number 2? We got an area resident for number 2 as well? Are they available? Could you please come to the mic for the agent on item number 2, please? Where are they?
Hello, my name is Michael Lirio.
Okay, thanks. So you're asking for a deferral. Just please briefly state.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. So please, if you can please briefly state why are you asking for the deferral? You don't have to go into detail, just brief summary of why.
Yeah, we are in support of deferral
So
as well.
who are you? State your name, state your address.
Michael Lirio from Old Orchard Property Development Incorporated.
And your address? Hello? Address?
Our address is 24 Milford Avenue.
Okay. And so you're the applicant, are you? The agent of the applicant?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, I'm speaking on behalf of the ownership of the property.
Okay. So just, if you could just state why you want a deferral, just for the record, please.
The building is currently classified as an apartment building, and I think the city is looking into reclassifying that. So deferral was suggested, and we are proceeding with the deferral on our end as well.
Okay. All right. Good. Now, from staff, do we have any residents here? Okay, just put the resident forward. Are you there? Are you there, Mr. Resident? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
state
Can you hear
your name,
me?
state your address, please.
My name is Gordon Ross. My address is 29 Brook Avenue.
Okay. So now we've got a deferral request on this. Do you have any objection to that?
I have no objection to the deferral.
Okay, that's good. All right.
I will note an error with Mr. Lino's previous statement. He said the property is currently a apartment, zoned apartment. It is
We
not.
don't really need, as long as you don't have an objection, let's just move forward with the deferral, and you'll get a chance to address all those issues at another date. So let's now go into committee. We're into committee now, panel members. We need motion to defer, unless there's any debate. Okay, I see Mr. Cabu.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to defer this application.
Okay, good.
A second. Reason?
As the request of the applicants, and then as we receive from the city planning to give applicants time to complete provide the extensive document required for the application.
Okay, so the staff got that? It's just to at the request of the applicant, to give the applicant a chance to talk to the city staff. Is that what you said about reclassification?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. All right, Mr. Allison, you're
And
seconding?
I will second that, yep.
All right, those in favor? Okay, so it's unanimous on the deferral. Back to Madam Acting Deputy Secretary. We've got any other deferral requests? Let's deal with the next one.
Item 9,
All right.
Valley,
So do we have an
35
applicant
Valleywood.
here for item 9?
Morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Adam Brown. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. My address is 40 Holly Street, Suite 404, Toronto.
All right, thank you. So what's the reason for your deferral request, please?
Mr. Chairman, we had a late request from ECS to have our engineer chat with them about a slight revision to a report. So they had asked for the adjournment request through planning, and my client has agreed to that. I'm positive we're going to be able to resolve the request they made for clarification and then be back to your committee with the same application.
Okay, so it's basically to comply with ECS requests and staff. Okay, got it. Let's go to, on the phone, do we have other in person or on the phone? How many do we have on the phone?
Through the chair, we have 2 currently signed in. The other residents have not signed in as of
Okay.
yet.
Okay, so let's deal with them in order. The first 2. They could come forward. Who's on the phone?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Francesco Butera, you have been unmuted.
Okay. Hello, resident. Please state your name.
Hi there, my name is Francesco Butera. My address is 10 Deerlick Court.
Okay, thank you. So we have a request to defer it. Do you have any objection to that?
I do not. How will I be notified about the new hearing?
Pardon me?
I do not
Oh,
have an
yeah,
objection to the deferral, but how will I be notified of the...
Right, that's fine. Okay, on to the next resident, please.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have Sheldon Steinberg.
Okay. Hello, resident. Please state your name.
My name is Sheldon Steinberg. My address is 10 Deerlick Court, Suite 2009.
Thank you. Now, do
And
you
I have no objection.
Okay, perfect.
I'm
All
sorry?
right, so seeing no objections, let's go into committee. Panel members looking for a motion.
Sorry.
Oh,
Through
there
the
is?
chair, we just have another resident just sign in.
All right,
We have Griffin Downer Court.
all right. Come forward online. Resident, please state your name and address.
My name is Griffin Downer Court. I'm at 10 Dealer Court, North York, and I do not have an issue with it.
All right, thank you. Now we're going to go into committee. We're in committee looking to panel members. Motion for deferral. Mr. Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to bring a motion to defer the subject application to provide the applicant opportunity to engage in further discussions with ECS.
All right, so motion to engage in further discussions to defer. Looking for a seconder of that motion. Ms. Casson. All right, so motion seconder. Those in favor? It's unanimous to defer. On to Madam Acting Deputy Secretary.
Through you, Mr. Chair, item number 10, 3905 Keel Street.
All right, so as the applicant's agent there, do we have any, we have no objections on that one, do we? Just the applicant's agent, can they be put forward? Oh, they're here. Keep looking over at, so please state your name.
Heard there was a button there. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name's Sarah Clark. I'm a planner with Glendora Associates. Our office is located at 10 Kingsridge Garden Circle in Mississauga, and we're here as the authorized agents on behalf of the owners of 3905 Keel Street.
Okay, why do you want a deferral?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, staff, for your comments on our application. We have had the opportunity to review the comments received from staff on the AIC website, specifically those from transportation staff. Transportation staff have requested further information from us surrounding the parking variance request. It is a request to reduce the amount of required parking spaces on site. So in order to continue to work with transportation staff, as we have been over the past couple of days, we just don't have enough time to get them the amount of information that they have requested. We're seeking a deferral of the application to deal with the technical matters, and we would appreciate being heard on the next available agenda, barring agenda availability, as well as the notification requirements required under the Planning Act.
All right, so thank you. Questions? No. Let's go into committee. Panel members. Mr. Allison.
Through you, Mr. Chair, happy to bring a motion to defer the subject application to allow the applicant time to engage in further discussions with transportation services.
All right, we've got a motion, Ms. Casson, seconder. Those in favor of the deferral, see everybody is in favor, it's unanimous. Congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
best to you. All right. Seeing as the deferrals are out of the way, Madam Deputy, Acting Deputy Secretary Treasurer, are there any files to be closed?
There are not.
Okay, good. Now we'll proceed with our agenda in order. Just wanted to confirm, is Mr. Marzieri's technology working? So he's joining us, and I think you voted on the last one as well, too. Okay, good. All right, so let's move on. We've got item number 1. Item number 1, 75 Glendora. This is to obtain consent to sever property into 2 residential lots, construct 2 new dwellings. There's a number of files to be heard jointly. We've got a ECS report, a forestry report. We've got 4 letters of support. We've got a staff report. The staff report recommends consent application associated minor variances be refused. All right, let's deal with the applicant's agent. The applicant's agent is on the line, are they? Put them forward, please.
Yes. Good afternoon, or good morning. It's Glenn Rubinoff. I'm the agent for the owner, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto, Ontario.
Thank you. Any changes to your application?
No changes. I should point out that there's some more information that was provided to the city, more letters of support. There's more than 4. There's about 24, I believe, in total. Staff uploaded it to the AIC, but I'm not sure that it was forwarded to you. So I just want to make you aware. But I'm prepared to do a presentation to kind of go over the points.
Yeah, given that there's a negative staff report, you'd please go ahead and make your presentation. You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. So for 75 Glendora, good morning, committee members. This is an application for a lot severance in 2 new homes. The neighborhood of Glendora Park, which is bordered by Shepherd Avenue to the north, the 401 to the south, Yonge Street to the west, and Glendora Park to the east, is a unique location with significant development happening on the borders. As you know, there's several the condos being developed and townhouses and such. So it's a very dynamic and changing neighborhood. It's a mix of condos, townhouses, single-family homes, and a variety of lot sizes. There are several severances in the neighborhood, and I should point out that including the neighbor directly behind 75 Glendora at 80 Avondale, that was recently approved for a lot severance. That's directly behind, same size lot. The staff report, the statement that there are no severances on Glendora is incorrect as well, because there is one at 130 Avondale Road, and there's also one at 65 Glendora, which was approved in 2017, which is just up the road. So there are lot severances in this area. So I've read the staff report. I find that it's limited the area of study to only a few streets, one behind and one in front, and the immediate block. And I find that difficult to accept as a representation of this neighborhood, because there's a mix of lot sizes and shapes. They mentioned that the lot is consistent with the streetscape with similar lot frontages in the area and should not be severed due to the change in the pattern of development. I would argue that the neighborhood is already well into redevelopment to create more needed options for housing, and that the density proposed is consistent with the official plan and provincial policy statement to have more homes built. We are permitted various housing types now, including multiplexes and garden suites. So it's not simply a pattern of consistency. It's a changing area, and I would argue that we are keeping with changing patterns in the area and are providing housing options which are more consistent with the needs for more and variable housing. I do want to point out that my client had several conversations with the counselor's office, and the counselor's office has been made aware of the request for the severance and do not oppose it. The timing was such that a letter was not forthcoming, but they did tell us that they had no objection to it. We've also included 24 letters of support in your file as the neighbors are in agreement with the proposed development, and my client was very forthright in speaking with them about the intentions to develop the site. So that's my main points I just wanted to make, that I feel what we're providing here is consistent with the changing neighborhood and developments happening there. And I feel that this is a good development. We've reached out to the community, which was an important part. And I feel that the staff report is not representative of what's happening there. And we feel that what we're proposing is a reasonable response to the changing patterns of development in the area, and also the needs of people to have more affordable homes. And that this is a very unique neighborhood in its location, and I feel that what we're proposing fits into that pattern. Thank you.
All right. Panel members, questions of the applicant? I see some members looking as if they wanted to ask questions, but I don't see any questions. Are there questions, or are we going to go into committee? See no questions, let's go into committee. All right. Somebody want to have start a discussion on this? Somebody wants to bring a motion? What do we want to do on this? We've got a negative staff report.
I'll start us off, Mr. Chair. It's a bit of a challenging one. I do think there is, I do think there's fair planning rationale on both sides of this argument. On the city side, I do note that, with respect to the block, this section of Glendora that it's on, this would be the first. And I do note that this section of Glendora, and then the next section directly east, is characteristic of larger building lots. It is a slight deviation from other streets, but I do recognize this as a street that still the prevailing character still is typically wider lot sizes that are wider here than you might find on other streets like Avondale. But, at the same side, I do take the applicant's submission that, there are two recent approvals, a little less sort of concerned with Avondale, but more concerned with Glendora, particularly with the recent approvals on the immediate block to the west and the immediate block to the east. But I do find it challenging because this block, I would say, out of all the blocks in the broader neighborhood, is typically characteristic of, we'll call them full-size lots. And I don't see any consents on this block. And then I also, we also have to look at, what is prevailing. Whether, one or two approvals in the neighborhood, whether that justifies accepting that as prevailing. So I'm curious to what my colleagues might have to say.
All right, other colleagues?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would agree with my colleagues' comments on the application, and I think I get stuck on half the lot size as a minor variance. To me, that's not minor, so it doesn't meet the test of the zoning bylaw, in my opinion. It's not even It's not even a little over that half. It's like half. So I think that I agree with staff's comments regarding this block of Glendora is mostly composed of larger lots. And just because there have been some severances granted in the previous years on some of the adjoining streets or the other blocks of Glendora, I don't think that's enough to say it's appropriate in this location. Perhaps the city eventually will do a study on this area because I can see it definitely is in transition. And there will be pressure to subdivide probably all the lots that are roughly 50 feet in this neighborhood. But I personally don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it meets the tests of Section 51 or of Section 45 regarding minor variances. So that's my opinion.
All right, thank you. So we've got two panel members tend to agree with the staff report, thinking it does not meet the tests under the Planning Act. Any, Mr. Kabul, any comments?
I share my colleagues' analysis of the application not meeting the requirement of the Planning Act. So I'm also of the opinion that almost siding with the city staff report.
All right, so we got three panel members, so I can see where this is headed, but Mr. Marciari?
Just want to add my comment. I'm not quite agreed with my colleagues because I walked in this neighborhood. It's a quite dynamic and changing neighborhood, so I think it's a supportable application, but if you want to move a motion, I'm fine.
Okay, so hearing the comments, I guess back to Mr. Allison. You made the first comments. You want to bring the motion?
Sure. I just maybe point out too, this is I guess this was a tough one. As I said, I think there's planning rationale on both sides. I just think at this time, this particular section of Glendora they're all full lot sizes, and I'm uncomfortable to allow this variance because it essentially would, I think, seal the deal for the entire block. And I don't see it supportable, at least at this time. So I'll bring a motion to refuse the application.
Motion on the floor, seconder, Ms. Casson. And those in favor of the motion, so we have 3 in favor, 1 opposed, and I don't have to vote, so I'm not going to. All right, so it's refused. Let's go on to the next application. Hang on a sec. We're skipping ahead to 3 because we've had one of these as being deferred. Okay, so 3 is 82 Norden Crescent. This is to construct new detached dwelling integral double car garage. We have an Arbus report, and we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 letters of objection. Got a staff report, which is asking for modifications. We have 6 variances requested: minimum front yard setback, side yard setback, maximum number of stories, and so forth. All right, let's deal with the parties here. We've got a neighbor somewhere, and we've got the agent. Where is the agent? Online? Put the agent forward, please. Oh, you're here. Is the agent here?
Yes.
The agent is online, right? Okay, so state your name,
Yes.
agent, and your address.
Yes, my name is Babak Haji Gassemi from Arc Lab Design Studio. Our office address is 355 Eglinton Avenue West in Toronto.
Thank you. Now, any changes to your application before we get going?
We just want to make an amendment to our application as recommended by the planning staff, who are actually in the support of this application. On their staff report, they requested that we reduce our variance number 5, which deals with the rear platform area to 10 square meters, and we're in agreement with their request.
Okay, so variance number 5 is now reduced to 10 square meters as opposed to the previous number. And the planning staff also recommended in accordance with the west elevation wall height as shown on the submitted elevation. I'm presuming you don't have any objection to that. You don't have to amend to comply with that, do you?
No, we don't have any objection to that request either.
So you're making the one change. Got it. Everybody got it? Staff have that noted? All right. We do have a resident opposed to this, do we not? Staff? Yes. Okay. So you'll have 5 minutes. Go ahead with your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to quickly mention we have also 7 support letters that I think I saw that it was not uploaded. And I asked the Mr. Sam to upload the support letters. But I'm gonna go ahead and explain our proposal. The application before you is to construct a 2-story single-family dwelling on 82 Norden Crescent. The property itself is a very shallow lot. It only measures 30 meter in depth, although the property itself is 60 feet wide in frontage. We are proposing a very modest size house on this lot. The house is only 332 square meters above grade. It measures just under 12 meters in length. However, due to the shallow size of the lot, we are triggering a variance for lot coverage of 31.93%, where 25% is permitted. Now, there are precedents for similar lot coverages on Norden and other surrounding streets in the area that have similar lot sizes, similar shallow lot sizes. I would like to bring our committee's attention to our variance number 3, if we can have our front elevation displayed so I can explain this variance. Again, we are proposing a 2-story house with an integral garage. Although if you see on the notice of the hearing, variance number 3, that we are asking to increase the number of stories from the permitted 2 stories to 3 stories, I would like to mention that this is a technical variance. This is triggered because of the location of our basement slab. Although our basement slab level is 1.5 meters below the established grade, in order to comply with this variance, we had to lower our basement slab by another 1 meter while keeping everything above ground level the same. And this building would be labeled as a 2-story house under the new zoning bylaw definition. So this means that had we come forward with this application 2 years ago, this building would be identified as a 2-story house. And now, I'm sure you see a lot of applications asking for this variance in this city of Toronto now because we have a lot of issues with our sewage and storm management system. It's very difficult to have a very deep basement and a deeper excavation, which puts more pressure on our citywide sewage and stormwater management system. Again, from a build perspective, this is a true 2-story dwelling, and I mention this because this variance created a lot of confusion and for our neighbors who raised their concern about the number of stories of this proposal. In order to increase the open space and greenery area in the rear building, we are moving our proposed building forward into our minimum front yard setback. And as a result of that, we are asking for a minor front yard setback of 6.53 meters, where 7.28 meters is permitted. Now, all the houses on Dominguez and Lawrence area have a very deep setback from the street. Therefore, a 75 centimeter minor variance does not really impact the streetscape or the neighbors on either side of this dwelling. With respect to side yard setbacks, we are asking for a side yard setback of 1.5 meters, where 1.8 meters is permitted under the bylaw. However, I need to let the committee know that the existing dwelling has a side yard setback of 1.2 meters to the west, and we are actually improving the west side yard setback as a result of this development. On the other side, there is going to be about 10.5 meters distance between our proposed house to the neighbor's house on the east side. Therefore, they will not be impacted as a result of this minor variance. This side yard setback variance has been widely approved in the whole Dominguez neighborhood. Therefore, we are in keeping with the context of this development. With respect to variance number 4, I mentioned that we are reducing the proposed platform area to 10 meters. Again, this variance is being triggered due to the location of our first story. I'm just gonna quickly mention our sidewall height. With respect to our sidewall height are only measured 8.05 meters on both sides of the house, which is only 55 centimeter above the 7.5 that is permitted under the bylaw, except where we have the projection on our window projection on the west side, and only for the width of the window projection, our sidewall height is increased to 9.14 meters. This window projection is only
Okay, you
4
got to
meters
stop. Your
wide.
time's up. Thanks.
No problem.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. Who's the resident who gets to talk now?
Through the chair, we have Thomas Chow.
Thomas Chow.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. State your name and address.
Okay. My name is Thomas Chow, and I'm the resident of 82 Norden Crescent. So I have submitted a letter for the objection.
Okay, so
and,
just a second.
one
You
note.
got 5 minutes now to talk. Your time's going to start, so go ahead.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. First of all, from the design they just shown by the previous speaker, and you can see there is a window projection on the, if we are facing the houses on the left-hand side, and that wasn't shown up very clearly at the beginning. So what happened is when we are talking about the cutback, then this window actually moved out quite a bit. So it's actually reduced the cutback even further. So it's getting closer to our house. And actually what happened is it overlooks our whole story, one-story house, and even facing our main entrance. So it's affecting our privacy very much. Okay? Another point is the side main wall. Actually, the proposed main wall is actually 22% greater than the permitted from the east side and 7% from the west side. So it's not a small, change variance. It's actually a major variance. So, also the new house is actually is the main wall height all the way, it's all the way along the property. So it makes the house very boxy and makes both the neighbors, us and the other side neighbor, very depressed. So now regarding the story, it is actually greater than the permitted size by 50% if you calculate it, very accurately. So it is a very major variance compared to what they suggest. Regarding the lot coverage, and again, it is greater than the permitted coverage by 28%. And actually, this big lot coverage increased the non-seeping area. And also, recently, we actually had a flooding all along the Lamborn Street and including our basement. So this is happened on July the 16th. So with this major change, with the reduce of the non-seeping area, then that could further increase our chance of having the flooding because of the, I think, majorly because of the water management system around this area. So, lastly, is also because the side yard setback and the front yard setback don't comply with the requirement from the zoning bylaw. So such a big house actually doesn't resolve actually the house crisis because they are only one family, and we don't think they require such a huge house around this area. So, and I know that they already performed some reduction in the platform area. So I'm not going to step into this point again, even though they, they were actually, the proposed platform was actually 413% more than, the permitted requirement. So, yeah, thank you. So that would be all my major points that I want to present.
All right. Okay, so go back to the, any questions from panel members?
Sorry, through the chair, we have a neighbor attending in person also wanting to speak.
Okay, thank you. Neighbor, please come to the microphone. So please make sure that the microphone is on, and then state the name and address.
Right, my name is Norman Miller, and my wife and I live 2 doors down at 78 Norden Crescent.
Okay, you've got 5 minutes, go ahead.
Sure. I really want to reiterate the points that we made in the letter we submitted of August 4. And the first is regarding the number of stories. I'm not sure how we can classify this as a 2-story building when, to me, the garage is at street level, and that's basically story 1. And there are 2 stories then above the garage level, which effectively makes it 3 in my eyes. The ground does slope, so in the back and to the side, I guess on the west, the garage is slightly, or the basement is slightly lower. And apropos of that, at the back of the house, to get into the lower level, there's actually stairs down that will have a cement wall around them, and I assume a permanent railing of some kind so you don't fall into the stairs. And that actually further expands the basic platform of the house. And apropos the 3 stories, the request for variance in general just make the building much larger than I think it needs to be. At 3 stories, it's going to tower over the neighboring bungalows, and even for us, will drastically reduce the amount of open air that we see. It'll reduce the amount of sunlight we get, and from our front yard, major blockage looking northeast. As was mentioned previously, actually, due to recent flooding concerns in the city of Toronto, I'm not sure that it's wise for us to be covering up all of the arable land that would absorb water and reduce torrential rainfall runoff. So really, we're requesting that the building be limited to the existing bylaws. I think it's quite possible with minor variances to build quite a comfortable 2-story house that wouldn't be so imposing in the neighborhood and to us and our immediate neighbors. And with respect to the rear platform, which was enormous, I understand that currently it's been reduced to right half half requested. But that's still double, I think, what the existing bylaw is. I don't have the exact numbers. So really these are the points that I wanted to make. Oh, no, one more actually. And that was just given the affordability of housing crisis in the city of Toronto, do we really need another, $4 million house built on Norden Crescent? A renovated bungalow or modest two-story might sell for half the price and be much more affordable to residents of Toronto. And that's it for me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We've got a question from the for the resident.
Yeah, just a question. So in just taking a look at the broader neighborhood, I did notice that there is a range of housing types in the area. So there are some older homes, and then there's obviously some newer homes that have replaced those older homes, let's say in the last 10 years. My question is about some of the newer homes. Is it typical to see houses in this configuration with the garage and then an additional 2 stories above? Or is this typology less prevalent in the area?
There are one or two. There are several. There's a lot of infill, as you mentioned, in the last 10 years. And many houses, that are excessively large in my opinion, but that's my opinion. Perhaps they were built because nobody really objected. But there are many homes that I would classify as 2 stories above a garage. But there are a couple over on Duncarron, not on our street, that are full 3-story houses, very much in design like this one, but they're built on corner lots. So they're larger lots, and you don't have 2 small bungalows on either side of the large dwelling. So I think the situation is relevant to this application.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Further questions? Seeing none. All right, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Now we go back to the applicant. Mr. Applicant, you get to rebut the residents. Now, before he starts, I think I did not ask panel members if they had questions of the applicant. So you can ask them now, or you can just wait until after he's rebutted. I think wait until after he's rebutted unless somebody has a burning desire for a question now. Okay, so Mr. Applicant's agent, go ahead, rebut the residents to the extent, we do have a question.
Through you, Mr. Chair, before the applicant respond to the neighbor, I just want him to clarify ceiling height for each floor. That would be helpful. Thank you.
No problem. So our ceiling height for the first floor is 10.5 feet, and for the second floor, I believe it's 9.5 feet, if I'm not mistaken. We're not. It's 9.5 feet. Yes. Again, we're not. In response to your question, we don't have any variance for our bill for overall height. We are within the maximum permitted height under the zoning, and our ceiling heights are modest. It's within what's being developed in the area.
All right. Okay, so now you have a chance to rebut the residents. So if you confine your remarks simply to those that the residents raised, and then further questions may come after that. Go ahead.
No problem. I just want to respond to one of the panel members' questions with respect to whether we see this type of developments that has the first story on top of the garage. I would like to mention that the neighborhood is going through a major change. You see a lot of new developments being proposed and being under construction in the area. And within those new homes being built, this type of 2-story above garage is a very common build form. And there are precedents for this type of build form. Number 20 Norden Crescent, and number 60 Norden Crescent, that they're both on the street. They actually have a very similar build form on the street. With respect to the window projection that you can actually see it on this elevation, this window projection is facing the neighbor on the east side. Window projections, we don't have any minor variance for this window projection. Window projections are permitted encroachment on their zoning bylaws, just like chimneys for fireplaces. Unfortunately, any window at that height would impact the privacy. However, a 1 foot side yard setback that we are asking doesn't really impact the issue of privacy for our dear neighbor in this case. I would like to mention that again, we spoke to the community and neighbors, and we were able to get 7 support letters from our surrounding neighbors. We had an arborist, we were working with an arborist from early stage on into the process, and we worked very closely with him, and as a result of this development, we are not removing any trees. All the trees on the property are going to be protected throughout this construction. I don't have any more comments. If you guys have any more questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
All right, Ms. Cass, some questions?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. I know you said that the window bump out doesn't require any variances, but you didn't provide any information on your floor plan. What is exactly located in that area? Is that part of the master bedroom? Is it the bathroom? Is it the laundry room? Another bedroom?
It is another bedroom on the second floor. So it's not a very highly usable room.
Thank you.
Mr. Allison?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to ask the applicant, there were 2 properties that were cited with a similar typology, one of them being, I believe, 20 Norden and the other 60. To the applicant, is there any evidence or material that you could provide to support that? Specifically, I know one of them is a more recent approval, so that's why I asked that. But with respect to number 20, do you have do you know what the side main wall heights, whether side main wall height variances for that as well?
I don't have their approval, their minor variance approval in front of me, but I just want to mention that our sidewall height variance that we are requesting is 8.05. It's only 55 centimeter from 7.5 meters that is permitted. The only area that we are going beyond that is for that window projection that is only 4 meters wide. And the staff actually reviewed this item with us, and they asked the committee that if they want to, if the committee wishes to approve this application, we be tied to our side elevations in order to make sure that we are not going beyond that sidewall height that is proposed and shown on our drawings.
At 8.05.
Yes, it's our sidewall height for the majority of the wall is 8.05 meters.
Okay, but I also see variance here for 9.14 meters.
Yes, if I can have the west side elevation, I can show how this variance is being measured on the west side elevation. Yes. So as you can see, our sidewall height for the majority of this elevation is 8.05. It's only for this window projection, just to allow for the room to have proper ceiling height in this area. We are going to 9.15 meters, and again, this window projection is only 4 meters wide.
Okay. And is that the same height as the front main wall of the building?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just for that small portion, it's also for the front main wall.
But we don't have any variance for the front main wall.
I can clarify that.
Mr. Marziari.
Okay.
I think for the side yard, you have to be 100% of the whole side wall to be at a certain height. But at the front, you're allowed to have, I think, 40% exceeding that wall height. So that's why he doesn't have variance for the front and back, but he has that variance for the side wall.
Okay. Okay, and for the applicant, no precedence to support this these side main wall variances in the area? Are there any properties that you can point to that are afforded side main walls or any exterior main walls at that height?
62 Norden Crescent, I believe, had a sidewall height of 8.2 meters. I was the applicant for that application. That's why I know the variances. But I'm looking at 20 Norden Crescent. It has a very similar build form. I think they have it looks like they have a sidewall height of over 8 meters as well.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Other
Thank you.
questions? No more questions? All right. Let's go into committee. Panel members, discussion.
I'm happy to start us off. Through you, Mr. Chair. I'm struggling with this one. I happen to side with the neighbors. I think in this case, we've got a variance for a front yard setback, which I struggle with because I look at the two properties adjacent and I don't see any reason that this property should be afforded a front yard setback, like a variance for a front yard setback, which I think also is exacerbated by the fact that you have a covered porch and a staircase that are kind of pushing towards the front lot line. But if you look, I think in its entirety, right, we've got side yard setbacks that are kind of pushing out at the side. And then to top it all off, it's the combination of variance number 3 and number 6 that concern me. I understand the desire for these typologies, but I also, this is not a neighborhood that is, these typologies are common. A lot of the newer builds in the area are strictly 2-story homes. Not to say that I don't think the area can support this type of typology, but to do it with a variance for side main walls, which exacerbate the overall massing, and then to push that into a front yard setback, push that towards us into a side yard setback, I just think it's a little bit too much. And to top it all off, the lot coverage is a little bit high as well. So I'm struggling with it, but I'm curious to hear from my colleagues.
All right, so negative comment. Anybody else want to discuss this? Mr. Marziari?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I had a bit of concern with variance number 6. We've been through this 2-story versus 3-story, and it's a definition of basement. And I know if the applicant simply lowering the basement, this variance could be removed. And I had a bit of concern with the combination of variance 3 and 6. But now that the applicant showed us that it's just for a portion of that wall, I don't have any specific concern, and I think the application meets the 4 test for me.
Okay, so we got
if I can just note, with respect to the argument about lowering the basement, it's not just lowering the basement. It's the relationship of the established grade to between the basement and the first floor. And if you're bumping the first floor up to the level that you are, I mean, you could bump that up 20 feet in the air and said, well, I could just lower my basement 2 stories and therefore it wouldn't apply. Like, I think there has to be some sort of discussion about what's happening with the height of the building, and not kind of, you know, push the discussion towards saying, well, we could just lower the basement floor and deal with it. There's still a height variance here. And I also look around the neighborhood. If we are asking for higher lot coverage, we are asking to push into setbacks on 3 sides. I would expect that the height is, you know, brought within control. I just think there's too many liberties taken with the height here, so just add that.
All right, so we got a difference of opinion, and back to you.
I agree actually with my colleague. I am very disappointed the applicants don't show the interior layout because it's really helpful. We want to see what's going on inside. I want to see how many steps they have inside. And I don't believe the ceiling heights are at 10 feet because at the front we have like higher ceiling. At the back we have 11, and then upper floor we have 9'6". So there is a bit of height variance. This is a bit concerning, but I am not worried about 2-story versus 3-story, and based on the fact that the applicant is reducing the deck, which is considered the second floor deck, that is actually the first floor. Again, I don't have any specific concern, but I respect my colleague's comment.
Okay, do we want more discussion by the 2 silent members, or do we want one? Oh, why don't you silent members maybe wants to make the motion? Why don't? No.
I'm happy to try a motion,
Okay,
see where it goes.
Go with your motion.
So I'm happy to bring an application for approval, but one that is modified. With respect to variance 1, I did address some concern with the front yard setback, but I think with what I'm proposing, we could bring that in line with the 4 tests. So approval of variance number 1, approval of variance 2, approval of variance 3, approval of variance 4, modify variance number 5 to reduce the platform to 10 meters square, which is in line with the community planning report, and refuse variance number 6.
Okay, let's just get that straight. Do staff have that, or maybe we want to go through it again? Well, let's go through it again because we're going to need a seconder. So let's just be careful.
Sure. So I'll sum it up a little easier. So approval of the application, with the exception of variance number 5, which would be modified to 10 meters squared, and refusal of variance number 6.
Okay. So effectively, we've got a motion for approval subject to refusal of item number 6. We have a seconder of that. Okay, Mr. Kabula is seconding. Okay.
Should say it's modified number 5.
Modified number 5 in accordance with the staff report, and I'm presuming that the motion is also developed in accordance west elevation in accordance with the.
No, I don't think it's necessary because I think, yeah.
Because he refused it. Okay, got it. All right. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Mr. Kabu. You've seconded it. You have the option to talk about it if you want.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Based on the discussion from my 2 colleagues and the suggestion that the applicant modify variance number 5 and then we refuse variance number 6, I'm of the opinion that the application at this point meet the test.
All right. So we got a motion on the floor with refusal of 6, modification of 5 in accordance with staff report. And we've got a seconder, so let's put it to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to accept as modified, those in favor? And it's unanimous. All right, thank you. Okay, so let's take a 10-minute break. And we'll be back. We're on item number 4 next. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you read my mind. You read my mind.
We also had a refusal. So you can refuse a lot of money. You made a use of modification, so. And both of those, like, I think I learned my lesson. I have to kind of read the room and see if they're going to have that kind of a debate. They've split it up so it seems like, get rid of these applications. Why have a committee of adjustment? I don't know. I really don't like the way this is set up. Okay, well, we don't. And we're back. Is everybody ready, staff? Okay. All right, so we're continuing on with the morning, and we've got item number 4, which is 85 Carmichael, permits reduction of parking spaces provided at the school and childcare facility. It's a cross-reference site plan application and a previous minor variance. There's an arborist report, a transportation report, and this deals with minimum amount of parking spaces. We have an applicant, we have 2 interested parties. Let's hear from the applicant who is online, right? The agent? We've got these school boards who want to talk too. But,
Mr. Chairman,
so,
my name is Jason Kong.
okay. And your address?
Address is 310 Spadina. We're with the LGA Architects representing our client at TCDSB for the property of 85 Carmichael St. Margaret Catholic School.
Okay, any changes to your application?
No.
So just to confirm, like we have two interested parties on the phone, but those are your clients, right? You're all together?
I can't see the list of people there on the call, but I imagine that my clients are also here.
The two clients, I think are clients, they're both TCDSB. Is that your client?
Yes.
Okay. So just so you know, we're going to give you 5 minutes if we need it, right? I'm going to go to the panel members. Oh, and I see heads shaking saying, we don't even need your 5 minutes. So I guess you're kind of lucky for today. We don't need to hear from you or your client.
Excellent.
If you, I'm presuming that's good for you, right? You don't want to talk to us?
I think it's a pretty straightforward case. We need parking for the childcare. The site's only this big. We can only provide this much.
All right. So in that case, let's go into committee. And I look at and Mr. Marzieri is looking.
Thank you,
to do
Mr.
something.
Chair. I think as the applicant mentioned, it's a very straightforward application. It's just one variance and it's parking that is very common. We have a support of transportation, so I'd like to make a motion to approve with no condition.
Okay. Ms. Casson? And all those in favor? It's approved, unanimous. Congratulations. And we are on to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
And number 5 is 45 Foursome Crescent, to construct a new detached dwelling. We have 11 variances. We've got an arborist report, 3 letters of objection, a staff report, which recommends condition be imposed, and these variances include front yard setback, side yard setback, building length, and so forth. All right, let us hear from the agent of the applicant, who I believe is on the phone, right? Agent?
Yes, correct.
Your name?
This is Glenn Rubinoff from Glenn Rubinoff from Rubinoff Design Group, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto, Ontario.
Thank you. And any changes to this application?
No changes.
All right. So there is a area resident somewhere that will appear. Is that right, staff? Okay. So you'll have 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is an application for a new home at 45 Foursome Crescent. We have 11 variances before you. Some of them are triggered by the definition of the home as being a 3-story home. As you've dealt with in the past and understand that this is a technical 3-story. It's a situation where if the basement was lowered, it would not be, it would eliminate some of the variances related. However, the home itself is designed on an irregular shaped lot. If you look at the site plan, if the staff can put the site plan up, some of the variances, and I've looked at some of the objection letters, and there's concern about being closer to the property line than what's currently there, which it's not. We're actually stepped back. So you see the lot is an irregular shaped lot. So we've got jogs in the house. So it's the pinch points, which are what the variances are. And that's partly reflected in the city staff report, which is why they would like to tie it to the site plan, because they recognize that overall it's probably has less impact. We're not deeper than the existing house that's there right now. That's another point I wanted to make. I know one of the comments from the neighbors suggested is that we're going deeper into the yard, but we're not. The front yard setback is, again, it's an angled lot, so you see the setback line is in line with the front lot line. So you touch little triangles that's what the front yard setback is for. So again, relatively minor adjustments for the front yard setback. The building length, the actual home, if you zoom in on the site plan there, on the building itself, is compliant with 17 meters for the house itself at the longest part. But because of the angled lot, it's technically following the angle. It's at 17.49 meters. So it's related to the setbacks. It's not related to the actual building. The height of the side exterior main wall. There are other homes in the area of the same style as this, which have soffit heights, which are slightly above to allow for the design of the home. A small variance of about a foot different than what the side wall height is. The entry level variance is a 6-inch difference from the bylaw. When you walk into the house, we're asking the front porch to be 6 inches higher than the bylaw. The deck is something that there was some concern expressed about as well. If you look at the rear deck, that lower deck, the one at the back, the bigger deck, if you zoom in, that's good. That's good there. Yeah. Sorry. If you go down to the main floor, it might be helpful actually. Sorry, that's the base. That's a basement. Next one. Yeah, there. So, sorry, if you slide up a little bit. The other way. Sorry, the other way. So the deck there, the lower deck, is less than a meter above the ground. So just that big deck is actually very close to the ground. It's the upper deck is at the level of the breakfast area, and it's a landing to come out, and then you take steps down to the lower deck. So the lower deck is where you're going to eat and spend time, and that's very low to the ground. The upper deck is really where you come out, and that variance for the lower deck is to the rear yard setback, but the variance to the upper deck is just the area of the deck, which is slightly over because of the definition of the main floor being called a second floor, and therefore it being called a balcony, when in fact it's just a landing that's slightly larger than the 4 square meters that a balcony would be. So I read through the staff report. They talked about setbacks and didn't have any concerns with the overall pattern and what was approved in the area, and it's consistent with redevelopment. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Questions of the applicant from Mr. Marziari?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I have a question about the platform area. The variance you're requesting is for the upper deck or lower deck?
So there's the upper deck, variance number 9. It's if you have a balcony technically on the second floor or above, it's considered a balcony, and you're allowed 4 square meters. So the variance number 9 is for the upper part. Okay, but also it projects. But it only projects for a portion of it because there are stairs going down to the lower deck. So
I see.
There's and variance number 8 is related to the lower deck that encroaches into the rear yard. But like I said, it's at a very low level that it's not going to be an overlook concern in terms of privacy and such.
Okay, understood. Thanks.
Mr. Allison, question?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Hoping to get a little bit more information with respect to the request for variance number 7, which is the front door height. I recognize that it is, we are talking about 0.17 meters here, but I also, looking at the immediate context, very characteristic of doors that are almost at grade or just slightly above grade. So I'm hoping the applicant might provide a little bit of planning rationale to support that request.
Sure. Well, one thing we always avoid doing is having a series of steps running in line all the way up. So this is actually a split. So you have 3 steps up to a little landing, and then 3 steps up to the door, to the porch. The bylaw allows a total of 5 steps, and this is 6 steps. But it's not a straight run, so the impact on it would be felt a lot less. And because we did split like that, it goes to the driveway. So we have 3 steps up from the driveway to a landing and then 3 steps up to the house. And we felt that that was a sensitive way of addressing it, not having a series of steps going straight onto the street. So.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So we've got a resident, do we, somewhere? Are they online? All right, put them up, please. Hello, resident.
Hi, it's Tom Thompson.
Oh, thank you. And
It's-
your address?
26 Didrikson.
All right, so go ahead, you've got 5 minutes.
I'm not going to do 5. My concern, we're the backyard neighbor, so my concern really is the height of the structure. And our friend here said that the height of the main landing, but over a meter, was not an encroachment into our privacy. But right now, the backyard is ground level, so raising it by a meter means anybody standing on the deck is looking over the fence into our backyard. Similarly with that raised balcony, it's the same kind of issue, that our privacy is very much going to be impacted by this new structure. So that's the net of my opposition. I do think 11 variances is a huge number as well. I don't think you can consider this to be minor if you've got 11 different things that you're seeking variance on.
All right, questions of the resident from the panel members? No. All right, back to the applicant. Mr. Agent, you have, you can rebut the resident if you so choose, but please confine your remarks to the resident's comments.
Okay, thank you. The lot pattern is, we're on a bit of a diagonal to the resident behind. And I understand they have a concern because a portion of their house goes closer to the property line. We are, that what I'll call it a patio, a raised patio, is not directly facing the back of their house. Their house is oriented more to the side. So I feel like with some landscaping, which my clients would probably be more than happy to do, is just to provide some privacy, because it's a mutual, for mutual benefit for privacy to have a little bit of border. But as the deck is on the side to the right and the house behind kind of angles to the left, so I feel that there will be minimal impact on their privacy. But certainly, it being relatively lower to the ground, there is an existing interlock patio on the back of the existing house, and I do understand that they're, we are off the ground a bit, but it's something that they'd be happy to put a privacy screen if that was something that was deemed to be a concern.
All right, further questions? No, let's go into committee. Panel members, any discussion? Mr. Allison, you look like you wanted to say something, so.
I can start us off. I just want to thank the applicant. The presentation material was very helpful, particularly where you're dealing with unique situations of setbacks that are not, directly, perpendicular to the, to a straight street, or parallel, I should say. In this case, with respect to variance number 1 for the front yard setback, I think it's completely reasonable. You can see that it's really only accommodating, squaring out just those corners on a bit of with the street kind of bends in. And that kind of carries through to the variance for building length. It is, I do understand where the neighbor's coming from, because this lot does not have very much depth. There isn't much space at the rear, so there are a number of variances triggered through encroachment into the rear yard. And I recognize the neighbor's concerns because just by nature of the existing condition, their house is pretty close to the rear lot line. But I think the applicant did a good job in this case to mitigate the impact, particularly through the fact that you've got a very modest platform off the ground level that immediately steps down to a lower level deck, which I would agree with the applicant, can be mitigated through soft landscaping at the rear to help with those impacts. The only variance I've got concern with is variance number 7 with respect to the first floor height. I certainly think it meets the test of minor in that, we're only talking about a step or 6 inches. But there's a lot of variances here, but if we're looking at that, certainly in the immediate context, I don't know that, that's a desirable variance to permit. And I'm not sure that it meets the intent and purpose of the bylaw and OP. I think, but all of the other variances, I think, are supportable. It's minor, but as I said, I feel that it falls short of the other 3 tests. Variance number 7.
All right, so basically you're saying variance number 7 you're not okay with, but the other ones you're all right.
Yeah, just the number of steps at the front. I mean, this area is pretty clear that the front door heights are lower in nature. They're more grounded towards the street. While I appreciate the applicant's efforts to split up the stairs, I think that's a good strategy to mitigate it. You're still dealing with a higher door sill height at the end of the day, and I think that the applicant, the project would benefit from coming into compliance with that zoning bylaw.
All right. Anybody else want to comment on that? You want to put forward a motion maybe to reflect what you've said?
If there's no other comments, I'm happy to bring a motion to approve the subject application, approve all of the variances, and refuse variance number 7. We also have a recommendation from community planning for that the front yard and west side yard setbacks be developed substantially in accordance with the site plan drawing. So I'd like to include that recommendation as well.
Okay, we got a motion. We got a seconder for this motion. Mr. Marziari. So
I second that.
Seconder. Let's put it to a vote. Those in favor of the motion to approve as modified? See 3, 4 hands raised. Okay, so it's unanimous. Congratulations. It's approved. Let us go to the next one. Well, it's approved subject to modification. So congratulations, mostly. Let's go on to item number 6. Item number 6.
Thank you for that. And I am number 6 as well, so I just thought I'd...
You're item number 6? Okay. And we've got in-person people opposed to item number 6. Is that right? Okay, so we got 2 speakers. I don't know their address yet, but so go ahead, Mr. Agent. It's your application name again, address again, and let us know if there's
Sure.
objection or a modification.
Sure. Good. Sure. It's Glenn Rubinoff. This is an Rubinoff Design Group, 18 Gloucester Lane, Toronto, Ontario. This is an application for a third-story addition over an existing building. The only variance before you today is the rear yard setback to basically an existing and proposed wall. So we're building on top. It's a rear yard setback of 7.38, and that's to the Don Mills Road, the rear yard setback. So it goes to the existing building and to the proposed third story. There's not a lot, nothing related to density or height or anything, any other variances on this site. So that's all we're here for today. Thank you.
All right, so that's it. Questions from?
Yep.
From Mr. Allison? No, you have your mic on, so that's good. You do not have a question? Good. Let's hear from the residents in attendance, please. So again, are you separate addresses or the same address? Same address. Okay, so you'll have 5 minutes. You can split it up how you want. Are you both going to speak or just one?
If we both speak, is it 5 minutes limited?
Yeah, it's 5 minutes in total, split up between the two of you.
Okay. Yes, my name is Mark Dobis. I'm a resident of apartment 388 Overton Crescent, presently.
Yeah, you should make sure your mic is on.
Test. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Try to keep it as close to your.
Sure.
Because you have a voice like mine, which needs a mic.
Okay, no problem. Yes, my name is Mark Joseph Dobis. I'm a resident of 88 Overton Crescent, apartment number 3, and have been so since August, actually since 1966 at one point, and more recently since August of 2006. This was a family-owned building in my family since 1958, and only recently has changed hands in an estate matter. That estate matter is still not fully resolved. This is described as a minor variance, but specifically the plan is to demolish my unit singularly and no other unit, which displaces me from the property to add an additional story, a third story, to the building. I provided a couple submissions, one concerning simply the notice itself that was posted on the window. Had I not have seen that notice, I did not even receive the courtesy from the owner of this upcoming hearing and could have missed it. In any event, I did see that notice and made a submission, I believe on August 4th to that effect, and I made an additional submission by email on August 8th. A few things, just the house, on the application itself, I noticed some errors and omissions. On the page 1, the date of construction of the subject property is not 1970 plus or minus, is 1955. The length of time uses have continued, that was blank. It's been 69 years. The property was built in, as I said, 1955. And I also question on page 2 of the application, is the property subject to Wiener private tree bylaw, to which the applicant answered no. I would dispute that. There is a black locust tree with a trunk diameter of 4 feet in the center of the property, as well as a maple tree to the side that has also within the private tree bylaw protection, and for some reason it appears to have been ignored. That tree in the front was actually planted by my grandfather in 1965, so it does have some addition to the size and the canopy that tree provides, and has not been noted for protection. It also has some personal significance to myself. I also notice on page 4 of the application that the agent for the application has actually not signed it. So those are just some housekeeping matters. And also, I guess, on the subject of tree protection bylaw declaration, it's indicated throughout the application that there are no trees within the tree protection zone. I would dispute that once again, and I believe it should be looked at because I believe there should be a tree protection zone around the black locust, as well as the green maple off to the west. In any event, And I also note that on the examiner's notice dated June 26th through Design Group that there is a non-compliance with a particular zoning bylaw in regards to the minimum rear yard setback, which I believe the agent addressed just before me speaking here, but that seems to be a matter that is not in compliance at present. In regards to the property or the demolition of the of my unit, this would be a deliberate renovation to attempt to displace me from a historically family-owned property. It was actually left in my hands by my father when he passed away, but through an estate litigation, which didn't start until 2 years after his death, whereby my family gained, my mother and brother gained control, who are not residents. They have caused this event to occur to me. But looking at the neighborhood itself, this is a neighborhood designated area. This property currently complies with fourplex designs as a multiplex, as a fourplex. In this neighborhood, and there are 5 units side by side to each other, and I'm not going to go through the detail because I've made it in my submission that are the same. So this becomes a non-compliant or a very different size and style of unit relative to the other units that is intended as a state to remove me from the premises. And provide significant disruption to me. With the addition of the, does indicate in the application, at least an N13 application to move me, that no parking, that parking will be changed yet in the application.
Okay, so your 5 minutes.
Yes.
Your 5 minutes are up. We might have a question from the panel members. No. I mean, I just want to comment. Like, I know you're living there. We're going to make a decision, but it's all on planning. I'm not part of that decision unless it's a tie. But it's all on planning criteria, right? So, any of the social things like where you're living and all that disruption and the estate and all that kind of thing, I don't know what kind of weight the panel will have to, decide, but typically they only look at planning. There's the 4 tests under the planning. So I just wanted to sort of explain that to you before we go into committee. I don't know if you have anything to say on that. I'm giving you a chance.
I recognize.
I want you to understand, like how things are going to play out here. I mean, you've made your comments, but there's some of them that the panel may give lesser weight to and opposed to planning criteria. Okay, so I just wanted to explain that to you.
Right. Okay. I understand that. I understand that there's a certain jurisdiction to this, and some of my comments are outside of the jurisdiction necessarily. But in any event,
yeah, I didn't try.
I
to
clearly
stop
I have an
because
objection.
You're here, you're resident. You get to say your piece. We could say I could have said, well, let's just talk about the planning issues. We didn't. But the panel will probably do that. That's all. Okay? So I just wanted to sort of put it into context for you. Okay? We're going to go back. So I don't think there's anything more for you. You're welcome to take your seat, and then I'll go back to the applicant. Okay?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Oh, we do have a question. Perfect.
Have you consulted the city regarding the tenancy issue, what you're calling a renoviction? The city has policies regarding that. Have you spoke to anyone in the city regarding that?
I have agents who has been looking after certain matters who is presently not well. No, I have not spoken directly with the city in those regards.
Okay, thank you.
As of yet.
Okay. All right. So that's it. You're welcome to take your seat, and we go back to the applicant who gets a chance to rebut. Okay, so the applicant's agent, it's up to you. You have up to 5 minutes to rebut, but please limit your comments to the submission of the resident and to planning issues where possible.
Thank you. Yes, you know, having heard the neighbor or the tenants' concerns, we are here today to represent the owner's request to build an additional floor. We can't address individual items that are not part of the planning application before you. It's simply there's no variances related to number of units or parking or setbacks other than this one existing setback for the existing building and to build on top. There's the only thing I can say is that we have one variance before the committee today, and planning staff had no concerns with the application, and we're just simply asking for that. So I have no other comments to make about the concerns, because I feel that's outside of my area of representation. Thank you.
All right, questions to the applicant? All right, so let's go into committee. And, you know, even though just as a chair, even though I spoke to the resident, it's not that the resident raised no issues of planning. There were some comments, but some of them were not planning. So I'll leave it to you to discuss what planning issues you want to deal with in our discussion or our motion. Mr. Caboot.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think I would like to make a motion on this based on the presentation from the applicants, and despite the resident, the tenants issues, which to me does not relate to planning, directly relate to planning and does not affect directly the application. I believe that this application meet the four tests, and this committee should count it as is.
Okay, so before we go forward with that, we got a motion on the floor. I just wanted to pull back before we get a seconder. Are there any comments on this application or comments on the motion before we go for a seconder? I look at my panel members, I see nothing, so I now look to a seconder. And is there anybody that wants to second this motion? Mr. Marziari has seconded the motion. Any rationale for that second?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I think it's just we have to deal with the variance before us, and there's just one variance. It's unfortunate situation for the tenant, but this variance is even an existing setback, so I cannot object that, so I support the motion.
All right, so we got a motion and we've got a seconder, and I'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion? And it is approved. All right, thank you to the applicant and to the resident, and all the best to you. Let us go to item number 7. Item number 7 deals with, let me pull this up. Item number 7 is 406 Cummer. 406 Cummer, we've got construction of a new dwelling, and there are a number of variances here. There's 9. There's a letter of concern, there's a letter of objection, there's a staff report. The staff are of the opinion that the proposal does not meet the intent of the official plan. I'll summarize these variances. There are 9. There's a proposed east yard setback, there's a proposed west yard setback, there's the proposed height of the building structure. All right. Do we have the applicant, the agent of the applicant? They are online. Please come forward. Please state your name. And please state your address.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Dan Achimovich. I'm the architect for this project and the agent for the client. I'm located at 1185 Queensway East in Mississauga. And I'm hoping that I'm able to proceed today based on some changes that we would like to make to this list of variances. We attempted to discuss changes with the planner on file over the last 4 weeks. Unfortunately, there was some timing issues and meetings were canceled and vacation times was taken. So we've, over the last 4 weeks, since we received the report, attempted to minimize the variances and in fact even delete a couple of them. So I would like to proceed. I do have 2 houses. I have one at 408 on item number 11 as well, which is very similar in scope and in size and so on. But if I could ask you for permission to modify some of these variances today and present them as such, I would appreciate that opportunity.
All right. So did we get the, pardon, what's, we didn't, did we get your name, did we get your address, and did you talk about the changes you're making?
Yes, I would like to talk about that next if
Well,
that's okay.
let's go ahead. Let's start the 5 minutes now.
Thank you. Okay, so we would like to proceed with this application, but we would like to make the following changes to this list. Item number 1, the proposed east yard setback, we're asking for 1.52. We noticed throughout the neighborhood that homes just like this, and multiple were presented this morning, all were approved at 1.52. So this would be item number 1. Instead of 137, we're going to shrink the house from both sides to 152.
All right.
Item number 2, I would like that to be at 1.52 as well. Item number 3, we'd like to reduce the height of the overall building to 10.72 versus 11.33. Okay, item number 4, we've changed quite a bit. The height of the side walls was significant at 9.75. We've reduced that to 8.48.
Okay. Any others?
And if these changes are not sufficient for the committee, we are willing to eliminate items 6 and 9 that deal with the second-story balcony off of the master bedroom.
So what are you doing with 6 and 9?
Potentially eliminate them unless there was no comment from the planning department, but I'm just trying to get an approval for these 2 projects so we can actually start building before the winter. That's the urgency.
Okay, so basically you're saying you're leaving it to the panel to decide if it wants to.
Correct. If you're willing to do so, I would greatly appreciate it. If we can keep it, obviously this would be an improvement to the elevation and the living condition, but if necessary, the owners are willing to give up 6 and 9.
All right. Okay, go ahead and continue on.
May I go through the drawings, please? Could you go to the site plan? Okay, so 2.5 minutes, just quickly. I mean, these homes, you've seen a couple of them already this morning. Obviously, there's a bit of a pattern in the neighborhood of these homes going up, and you understand that this is a 2-story home, but because of the zoning definition of how the basement is defined, we have part of the basement at the back of the house where the height above the grade to the ceiling of the basement is greater than the height below the grade to the floor in the basement. Therefore, the basement is now considered the ground floor. At the front of the house, our basement is actually considered a basement. So it's only the half of the basement at the back that's considered a ground floor that's triggering this to be a 3-story house, although it is simply a 2-story home. If, from all intents and purposes, okay? The thing about this site plan that you'll sort of notice fairly quickly here is we're not very large in footprint. We are smaller than the home to the left, We are proposing a similar house on the right, as you'll see when I present at item 11. And then the house, 2 houses over to the right is actually even larger than anything we're proposing in footprint. We're not past the front setback. We're well within the rear setback. So from a privacy perspective, I do not see any issues. If we can quickly scroll down to the other plans, maybe start with the basement next. Okay, so that's our foundation. Next one, not sure what it's in there. There's our basement. So you can see that the front of the basement is actually the garage, and then a lower area. That's actually considered a basement as per zoning. It's only the large room at the back, at the top of this plan, that's actually considered a ground floor. Okay, let's go to the ground floor next, please. Second, I guess, in this case. So we have a main open concept layout here, just like some of the other proposals from today. We have a set of stairs at the back, and we've broken up the steps at the front into a couple of runners. Second floor, quickly. On the second floor, we do have that small terrace. You can see that between those bay windows, and otherwise it's just a 4-bedroom custom. If we can just go to the height quickly, I've got 8 seconds. From a height, yeah, this is fine. On this perspective, you can see where the red line is, and since we submitted, we have lowered this down to 10.72 from 11.33.
All right, thank you. Panel members, questions of the applicant? Mr. Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have the same question for this applicant that I asked earlier today concerning the front door elevation height, which is variance number 5. They're requesting 1.8 meters. Are there any properties within the immediate context that support raising the front door height to that level?
We've looked at quite a few examples in the neighborhood. There's quite a few that are very similar. I'm not 100% sure if they've, if you can go to the ground floor, please, right now. I'm not quite sure if they've brought it up at the same level, but we have managed to lower this entrance door. Actually, one down. Yeah, that's it. So you'll see that we actually lowered the ground floor entry by introducing a staircase after the front door. So the office and the front foyer are all at the same level, and then there's another set of steps that takes us up to that main level, if you will. So we managed to get that door lower. If the committee needs us to go another step down, we could potentially do that as well, but we find that this is a nice balance of 3 steps up to a landing, a few steps up to the front porch, and then the grand foyer at the front entrance of the house.
Okay. And with any of the changes today, I'm just confirming there are no updated drawings, elevation to reflect the change in height or site plan?
We've, like I said, we've been working with the planner for a few weeks now. We were supposed to meet in August. That unfortunately got canceled. She got busy, and then there was vacation time. So we've emailed her the latest, greatest set. I'm not sure if that's been passed on to the committee, so I apologize for that. But we've been able to make this plan work by coming in from the sides and bringing the entire house down by a couple of feet at the roof level, and then the eaves themselves were significantly changed, or the side walls, if you will. We lowered those by a significant amount because we introduced a bit of a soffit instead of a straight up wall. So the house looks similar, it's just the dimensions are much smaller.
Okay, thank you.
Have other questions of the applicant? No. Let's go to the resident. We have a resident to appear, or are they online? They're here? Okay, so please come up to the podium, as there are 2 of you, but one of you is speaking, right? One of you is speaking, right, because you'll have 5 minutes.
Testing.
Perfect.
Okay, good morning.
I name and address.
I've been living there for 30
don't
years.
start talking yet.
What?
first state your name, please.
My name is Corridor Lam,
And
and my husband is Mamphai Lam, Victor. He's not fluent in English, that's why I speak for him.
Thank you.
And now I have
But
to.
just, we need to have your address.
My address is 400 Cummer Avenue, North York, M2M2G2.
All right. So now you'll have 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I have two objections to the minor variance, number 2 and number 8. I will ask the city to keep 1.8 meter minimum west side yard setback because it will be too close to my house. It surely will affect the sunshine, sunlight, air ventilation, and also it will also affect the privacy, and it will also cause flooding issues. The second one is that number 8. The new instruction will be 3 stories tall. That means it will be at least 10 feet taller than mine. It seems not fair to me, not only me, but also to the entire community, because I can't see any house which is 3 stories tall.
Are you continuing or are you pausing? You can take your time.
I want the city that to keep that only the house will be 2 stories, not 3 stories, because it's abnormal.
All right. Does that conclude your comments? Take your time. I don't want to push you. You got up to 5 minutes, but if you're finished,
Okay, thank you.
finished. Okay. All right, you can stay. Don't leave the podium so quick, just in case. Now that you're finished, just stand at the podium, wait for a moment, and let me turn to my panel members in case there's a question. I don't think there's going to be, but there might be. There is. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Just to find out, are there similar houses in your neighborhood as this gentleman is planning to build?
Pardon me?
Are there similar houses in your neighborhood, or this will be completely make the neighborhood stand out?
I can't get your question.
Are there, in your neighborhood, are there houses like the one that this applicant is planning to build based on these variances, or this will be unique?
No, I can't
So
see it.
he wants to ask.
Yeah,
if
what's the
there-
question?
If there are other houses in the neighborhood like this, or will this be unique?
I can't see any.
You can't see any other houses like this one? You're
No,
saying that
never.
this is unique?
Only the what do they call it? Cummer Lodge is for the seniors, they are taught, or the hospital. Others are only 2 stories or bungalows. Why this one will be 3 stories? And I just can't get the point.
Are there other questions of the resident? All right, you're satisfied with the, okay. Thank you, madam. That concludes your presentation. We appreciate it. You can
Okay.
take your seat.
Okay, thank you.
Now, back to the applicant. So the applicant, you'll have a chance to rebut the resident if you need to add some comment on that, but only in respect of the resident, please. Hello?
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the comments. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. No, I appreciate the comments. If you can actually scroll up just one slide, please, to the survey. No, the other way, sorry. Yep, that one. So if you can zoom in on that red square is where we're proposing our property, but 400 Cummer is actually right next door to us. There is a dimension as to the distance for the existing 2-story home that's beside us. It is 1.8, which is about 6 feet. We're proposing 1.5, which is 5, so we're going to be 11 feet apart from each other. But that's a significant sort of distance between the two new two-story homes. So I fully understand that she's asking us to push it back even more. We have done so already. If you can go down to the site plan now, please. Just want to show our footprint versus 400 Cummer beside us. Go back to the site. Yeah, right there, perfect. So you'll see just the size of the footprint. We're actually quite a bit smaller than the house next door to us in footprint anyways. And then from a item number 8 perspective, again, we are technically a 2-story house at the front of the home because the basement is buried further down at the front of the house because we have the garage at the front, and that's what's triggering all this. So we're only considered a 3-story home technically by zoning definition, not necessarily. It's still a basement main level that's raised and then a second floor. So again, there's no third level here. It's just an unfortunate way that zoning defines this. So those are my sort of comments on this on item number 2 and item number 8.
All right, let's go into committee unless there's a question. There is a question.
Could you give me the finished floor heights that correlate to the reduction, that 8.48 meter reduction? It looks like you knocked off about 1.25 meters, if I'm not mistaken. What is the resulting finished floor height on the second and third floor over the garage?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So what we did 2 things. We lowered the main roof. So on this diagram here, the main roof, the sloped inset, if you will, main roof, has been lowered by a couple of feet. Okay, so that got us the reduction in height on item number 3 to 10.72. Then I think we took off a foot on the second floor. So it was a combination of reducing the roof and reducing the ceiling height of the second floor. That got us down 2 feet. Item number 4 that you're referring to is actually referring to the side wall. So the initial design had the parapet that you see right now on the front facade continuous all the way around the building. So that turned that side wall into 9.75 meter height. What we did is we kept the parapet on the front elevation, but broke down the parapet and extended the roof slope. So we now have soffits on the sides, which technically will function better for the home, but also brought the height of the main side wall down to 848. Versus 975. That's how we were able to come down like 1.5 meters. It's only the side walls that came down. The roof or the overall height came down 2 feet. So it was a combination of things that we did to reduce those.
And the finished floor height, that is a result of that reduction?
Yes, that's part of it, yes. So the finished floor heights, the ground floor did not change. The second floor second floor level didn't change, but the ceiling came down on the second floor.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Other questions of the applicant? Seeing none, let's go into committee. You do have a question, but before
One more question, Mr. Chair. To the applicant, I'm wondering if he has any examples or precedent of building heights that exceed 10 meters in the neighborhood, immediate or broader.
We did take a look at that. So we looked at a few properties. We looked at 134 Northwood. I believe there was one at 221 Newton, 190 Wedgwood, 216 Newton, and 217 Newton were very similar homes. We did notice that all the approved COA sets had 1.5 meter side setbacks, so we followed that, and we noticed that, I'm not sure if all of them, but most of them were limited to the 10 meter overall height. We are here asking for 0.72 extra on top of that. The reason is we'd like to put a mechanical unit inside that truss space. If we came down further, the look of the home would suffer. It would become squatty. We wouldn't be able to put like a furnace room up there for that second floor. That was part of the reason why we stayed at 10.72. If the committee asks us to go down a little bit more, we could do it, but I think honestly, aesthetically mostly, as an architect, I think the house will suffer. If need be, I'm willing to give up a little bit more on the height.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Through the chair, we just been notified there is another speaker wanting to speak to this item.
Okay. All right, we'll hear them. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jenny Chow. I'm the homeowner of 19
Okay,
Urbandale.
if you could speak a
My
little
letter was shared on the
slower.
screen just a
Hello?
moment ago.
Can you hear me? State your name and address.
I can speak
please.
slower. My name is Jenny Chow. I am the homeowner of 19 Urbandale Avenue. My backyard shares the backyard with
now-
406 Cummer.
Okay. Continue. Thank you.
So my letter was shared on the screen while 400 Cummer was speaking. So we can go to my scroll, yeah, right there. Thank you. I appreciate Dan mentioned earlier that some of the variances have been decreased. I'm also happy to see that they're willing to amend variances for 6 and 9 that has to do with the platform or terrace, as that is one of my concerns due to the privacy along with the height of the house. What I understand is that the norm right now is to put up 5-foot privacy fencing or plant some cedar trees, both of which are amenable to me. And then the other concern that I have deals with the trees, and I think the committee has seen it in the tree report. There are a lot of old trees. Some of them are very close to the property line, and I'm not sure if the committee is aware, but the backyard of the current property is a parking lot that was previously used, by the church that's there. So while constructing this building, they would be required to, I believe, demolish the parking lot there. So my concern is about how it would impact the trees and how the trees are protected, because the roots of the trees go into their property as well. But the trees themselves above ground are on my property. And I do have concerns that what damages or liability that may come if the trees are not properly protected and looked after during this construction. So that's it. That's pretty much my concerns is regarding privacy. So summarize, happy to see that 6 and 9 variances are amenable to be removed, also and amenable to privacy fencing and planting of cedar trees to mitigate my concern.
All right, thank you. So we have to go back to the applicant because they never got a chance to rebut this resident. So applicant's agent, go ahead. You'll have some time, but please limit it solely to those comments made by the resident.
No problem. I appreciate the comments once again from the homeowner. I mean, it's a big change to the neighborhood, but I think it's going to be immensely improved from what's existing. I think everybody knows that. From a tree protection perspective, we have to deal with forestry department, and one of the toughest departments to pass through, so there'll be arborist reports prepared and so on. So we will certainly be providing tree protection and so on. I'm not sure if the owner behind us is asking for a condition to be placed on this regarding fencing and so on, and cedar trees and so on. The homeowners or the builders of this are going to want their own privacy as well. So they would be, against it. Chances are they'll want to put up, new fencing and cedars along the back and potentially the sides. I'm not sure how to respond to that, but and yes, once again, 6 and 9. If they need to be sliced off from this list, we are willing to give up on that as long as we're able to start building before winter time.
All right. Any further questions? We didn't have questions of the resident. We don't have questions of the applicant, or do we? So let's go into committee. I look to you, committee members, and ask you if you have anything you want to say on this.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to start the conversation. I originally had serious concerns with this application and agreed with the planning staff report, but now that I've heard the amendments, I think the application is minor. The requests are minor, and I don't have the same concerns I had previously. I actually don't have a problem with the platform sizes. I think they're modest. The second floor one is inset into I think it's the roof line. And I don't think that's a problem, but I'll hear my colleagues and see what other concerns they may have.
All right, Ms. Marzieri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with my colleague. I think with the amendments, I think the application is supportable. My only concern is the height of entrance is quite high. It's 1.8 meter, and it's the whole platform. So I don't think it's a nice streetscape. It's not aligned with the other houses. So I cannot support that variance, but the rest of the variances, as amended, it's supportable for me.
So which one in particular did you?
It's variance number 5.
Variance number 5, which is, okay, so you went there was also 6 and 9 that the applicant was talking about. What's your thoughts on those? Are you going to refuse those? What would you
I think he's eliminating those.
eliminating them? Yeah, well, he said he's willing to eliminate them. We would have to
okay.
we would have to impose that.
Frankly, I don't have such problem with those.
Okay, so you consider that. Anybody else want to talk about this? Mr. Allison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I support the feedback and comments that I just heard from my colleagues. I'd like to thank Mr. Mazzieri for pointing out variance number 5 with respect to the front door height. I think 1.8 meters is just not supportable. There hasn't been any evidence before us today to support that variance as one that is desirable, particularly for the immediate context. And if just in looking at the site plan, I really do appreciate the amendments that were made by the applicant with respect to the side yard setbacks. I'm a little, it's concerning when, you hear an applicant saying, well, how did you come to this setback? And they say, well, we just looked at other setbacks in the area. We took the best one or the shortest one, and we applied it to both sides. I think there needs to be a little bit more consideration of the context here. If you look at the site plan, there is the building depth on the neighbor that spoke today is significantly less. And one thing that we often forget to talk about is, in site plan, we just look at it in terms of building depth setbacks, but we often have to consider all the overall massing, and it is a fairly large building. We are allowing, a garage inserted underneath, which again creates more bulking. And I think that the side yard setback on the neighbor's side I just don't think 1.52. I don't find the planning rationale really good in that case. And I think in that case, on that setback, because of the adjacency to the neighbor, in them their house being set a little more forward, I think it may be appropriate to refuse variance number 2. But otherwise, in line with all of the comments provided by my colleagues.
Okay, so Mr. Marziari is talking about refusing 5. You're talking about refusing 2. Are there any other of these that anybody wants to refuse? We're talking about, so 1 was reduced to 1.52. 2 was going to be reduced to 1.52. Got a comment now from Mr. Allison to refuse it. 3 was going to be reduced to 10.72. 4 was going to be reduced to 8.48. Marziari has got an issue with 5. Mr. Allison's got an issue with 2. The applicant has stated they are willing to accept refusal of 6 and 9, but I haven't seen anybody saying that they need that. 7, I haven't heard anybody talk badly about 7 or 8. So there we are. We need a motion that tries to, either we're going to encompass all these changes, we're going to turn it down, or we're going to approve it. So what do you want to do?
I should also ask, is there any issue in tying variance number 3 with respect to the building height at 10.72 meters to any of the elevations? You can't really. I generally, I'm, when heights go above 10 meters, it's difficult, but I think in this case, it's, you've got a good angular plane on the roof, and it is stepped back off the front and side main walls, which I think mitigates the impact of height. So I'm supportive of that. I'm happy to maybe put a motion, see where it goes.
Put the motion.
Okay. So I'll bring a motion to approve the subject application as modified. Variance number 1 is going to be the proposed east side yard setback is 1.52 meters. I'm going to refuse variance number 2 for the side yard setback, which would require 1.8 meters then, or greater. I will approve variance number 3 as amended to the building height to 10.72 meters. Number 4 is modified to 8.48 meters. Refuse variance number 5, and then approve variance number 6, approve variance number 7, approve variance number 8, approve variance number 9, as well as the urban forestry number 1 condition.
Okay. Do we need to tie it to anything? I don't think we have a staff report to tie it to because they, okay. So
we made so many modifications too that I'm hesitant to.
That's right, because, okay, so we got a motion on the floor. What do people think? Mr. Marziari?
I second that.
Okay, so we got a motion, we got a seconder. Any debate on this motion?
I think it's aligned with my.
Mr. Chair, I was wondering what the applicant thinks of these suggested changes.
Oh, well, that means we got to go out of committee and ask them. So let's not go there. Let's not come out of committee, because then we're just going to give him a chance to make his submissions again. Anybody else want to comment on it? I don't think the applicant's going to say refuse it. He's going to just try to get us. Okay, so let's put it to a vote. Those in favor of this modified Got two in favor, and we got 2 not voting. What does that mean? We got 2 against. Do you want to make an so that fails? Because we got, unless I vote in favor, and I'm not going to vote in favor, so we need a new motion.
All right.
All right, so we'll leave it to Ms. Casson. What do you want to do?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would be prepared to move a motion. I don't want to have to go through all of the amendments that were proposed by the applicant, so as amended. However, I think the west side yard setback at 1.52 is adequate, so that will be part of my motion to approve that. And regarding the front, I always mix this up. Wait a minute, where am I?
Door sill height?
Yes, thank you. The first floor above established grade. I propose to amend that to 1.5 meters, max.
Which one is that?
Number 5. Sorry, 5. We okay, staff? Number 5 to 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there are other properties on this street with stairs, and they're not excessive. This one's probably would be the highest at 1.8, but I think there are other properties along Cummer that have that similar stairs. So that would be why I would move that. So, and subject to forestry number 1. It's my motion.
Okay, so you're basically saying, as amended, but you're not refusing 2, which was the previous motion, and you're not refusing 5, which was the previous motion. So you're basically you're amending to 5 to what 1.5, and it's at 1.8. Okay. All right, so we got a motion there. Mr. Mr. Kaboo, what's you're seconding that? Okay. Okay, so now we got a motion, and we got Mr. Allison. You've got. I'm not voting on this one either. I'm telling you what I'm going to do in advance. So if you want to fight it out, I think I'll come back with another motion. You're going to support it. Okay. Support. He's support.
Very good.
Okay.
I'll abstain then.
Well, you don't have to abstain. You can be opposed. You
All
can
right.
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So let's have a.
Can we just confirm that staff have all of that? We do.
Got all that?
Okay.
Okay, so we got a motion on the floor. We got a seconder. I'll put it to a vote. All those in favor of all those opposed? Okay, I'll be opposed too. So it's 3-2, it carries. Congratulations to the modified application. Let's go on to item number 8. Item number 8 is 381 Empress Avenue to remove a rear deck and construct a new rear deck. Remove existing rear deck. We've got, there's one variance. The platforms attached to or with it, the proposed rear deck projects 3.68 from the rear wall. Okay, so let's hear from we've only got an agent and an owner. The owner is in person. You got an agent? Do you have an agent?
Yes, we do.
So let me explain how it works. You get 5 minutes split between you and the agent. Do you want to take those 5 minutes? Do you want to take part of the 5 minutes, or you want the agent to take all their part? How do you want to do this?
I will take all of the 5 minutes.
Take it all? Okay, but before you start talking, there's nobody opposed, right? So just state your name, state your address, then don't talk yet. Okay? State your name and address.
My name is Diane Emmett, and I live at 381 Empress Avenue. I am a joint owner of this property,
okay,
along with my husband.
Okay, now you don't have to say anything else.
Oh.
Yet. I just want to turn to the panel members and see if they need a presentation. You still got your light on. Okay, so the panel members, seeing this, there's nobody in opposition. The panel members have decided they don't need to hear from you, which means it's really up to you. But if you don't talk, it might be your lucky day. I'm just hinting. I'm just hinting here, okay? But you do get 5 minutes. It's up to you if you want that 5 minutes, but it could be your lucky day. I'll let you decide, okay?
Okay.
What do you want to do?
If you are going to approve it, our minor variance, with no conditions, I'm okay with foregoing my presentation.
Okay, well, we can't tell you what we're going to do, but I told you it might be your lucky day, so you might get, I think what you're doing is you're asking for a wish, and I can't grant that wish to you, but you might get it. So if you don't have anything to say, we're going to go into committee, okay?
I did prepare a speech.
Do you want to read the first sentence of the speech, maybe?
Yeah, okay. We are here today to ask you to approve a minor variance for a new backyard deck that we wish to build, okay?
Okay. Now, I think you can still get your lucky day if you stop there. You want to do that?
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Okay. It's just a hunch. Okay, let's go into committee. Mr. Allison.
Get through you, Mr. Chair. This is a very straightforward application. I've read through the material, I've read through the submission of the applicant, and I do believe that this meets the 4 tests, so therefore I'd like to make a motion to approve the subject application without condition.
Ms. Casson is seconding it. Let's put it to a vote. And it's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good day.
Let us go on to item number 9. No, we deferred 9 and we've deferred 10, and we can skip all the way to item number 11. It is the same as item number, is it the same as item number 7? But we have, and there, nobody is here on that? What's the story on item number? It's the same, okay, so let's it's a neighboring property. But do we have, do we have to read these changes? Is it the same in everything? We've got to.
Maybe check to see if he's going to modify the application.
Okay, so let's go to item number 11. Let's put the applicant's agent on the line. Where are they? Hello?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Long time no talk. My name is Dan Achimovic. I'm calling from DA Design Architects. We are located 1185 Queensway East in Mississauga, Suite 3A. And I'm here to present a very similar project. 408 is next door to 406. And now that I've gone through, I know what I'm going to ask for in this one.
Okay.
So the amendments are very similar.
Just before you talk, I just want to check with staff. Do we have, are there all the residents still here? Are they all opposed to it? Are they still waiting online? Do we need to go through everything again with the residents?
Through the chair, the speakers have already spoken for 406 Cummer Avenue, and they have left the council chamber and the WebEx call respectively.
Okay, so we're going to go back to the applicant then, and maybe just make it a little bit easier because we went through the whole process the last time. You still get your 5 minutes, but why don't you just focus in on the changes that were made that are applicable here based on the previous approval you got, since we spent a lot of time on it, and then we can just perhaps deal with it in that manner. Is that fair?
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's what I was hoping you would say. So if you don't mind bringing up the list of variances, I would just like to introduce the amendments that I would like to ask for today. Okay. So number 1, I'd like to change the side setback to 152. Number 2, I'd like to change the side setback to 152 as well. Number 3, the building height reduced to 10.72. Number 4, side wall height reduced to 848. And I learned my lesson. Number 5, I'd like to reduce that to 1.5 instead of 1.8. And then the other variances are the same as the previous application regarding platforms and patios. And if that's acceptable to the committee, I'd like to just leave those.
All right. So you don't have anything else you need to say, and we don't have any questions for you because we heard it all before, I think. Oh, we do, Ms. Gasson.
Through you, Mr.
Correct.
Chair.
Design
Is it identical? Like, is the house this exact same, and we're dealing with the same variances? So there's no other deviation from that?
Correct. It's very similar. It's very different on the exterior. It's same family. They're just building a home for themselves and the kids, but they wanted the exterior aesthetic to be different, and that's the biggest difference. Floor plans are pretty much identical. Sections are identical, so that's why the variances are very similar, and the lot size is about the same too.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, that was a good question, because it does look the same, and this is next door, right? Is that the, okay. All right,
is.
So let's, seeing as there are no further questions, let's come into committee. Now, committee, before we get them, so we've heard the modification. Does staff have all that? Staff do. Okay. So I think, I don't know, I guess we can do exactly what we did the last time if you want. Ms. Casson brought the motion. You want to do it again? Well, I mean, I think we have our positions. I don't think anybody's changing. Is there any reason? Well, I mean, Jason and I could change. I don't see. Well, go ahead, bring your motion.
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to move a motion for approval of this application as amended by the applicant. Does staff want me to read? No. Okay, great. So as amended, there are no forestry conditions on this one. So I think that this application, similar to the other one, as amended, is appropriate for this street and neighborhood and meets the 4 tests. So happy to move that.
Okay, so last time, Mr. Cabu, you're seconding that? All right, so it's seconded. Let's put it to a vote. Those in favor? Okay, those opposed? Okay. And it is carried at a 3-2 split. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Thank you all. Have a great afternoon. Bye.